COVID-19 may never go away. That is according to the World Health Organization, WHO. This is something very, very important for us to pay attention to. Now, in this video, I'm going to be making sure that we explain the reason why this is a very real possibility. Now, let's get to work. First of all, think about HIV, think about the common cold, that's the regular sniffles that you have, sneezing and all of that, and think about malaria. These are diseases that we still don't have any form of vaccination, any form of immunization against up to this very moment, even though they have been discovered for many, many years up to this moment. So that's the possibility. So it means that it is very, very possible that a disease may never get a vaccine. So now, what does a vaccine do? Now, what a vaccine does is that it helps you to boost your immune system so that when the real virus comes or when the real microorganism that causes that disease comes, your body can fight it off. So your body can actually survive the attack of that disease. So that's what a vaccine does. And in the case of the common cold, the virus that causes this is very, very good at mutating. It mutates a lot, it is evolving a lot, so it is very difficult for you to be able to develop a viable vaccine that can deal with it. So let's say you develop a vaccine for this particular strain now. Before the next few weeks, there's going to be a whole lot of other strains out there that the vaccine you just developed will not be able to work against. So it is practically impossible for you to develop a vaccine for a virus or a microorganism that evolves or that mutates so much. So that's the reason. So that's the real problem there. And of course, this coronavirus you're talking about is evolving. Not so much as you call the common cold, but it is evolving too. So that's the problem on ground. And then we'll go over to the next problem, which is that vaccines take a long time to develop. It's not just something you call out of the sky and it appears suddenly. We all like to talk about the issue that we're going to have a vaccine soon and all of that. And some people, especially those people who support continuation of lockdowns, they believe that the vaccines are going to show up as soon as possible. So it's better for us to just remain locked down until we get a vaccine. The problem is, even if you are ever going to get a vaccine for this virus, there is no assurance it's going to come very early. Yes, there have been so many people, so many countries developing vaccines right now. You have the US, the UK, and China. That's true. That's true. Those countries are in the forefront of development for the vaccine. But the problem is, they themselves still admit that it's going to take many, many months, as much as 12 months to 18 months. That's a possibility. Are you going to be able to lock down for 12 months, a whole year, or even as much as 18 months? That's 1 year and a half. So that's the problem on ground. It's very difficult for you to be able to rely on that. So it takes a long time for you to be able to develop vaccines. That's the problem, because you have to be sure that this thing does not have serious adverse effect on the people you are using it on. You have to do several levels of clinical trials, try it on people, try it this way, under different conditions, to be sure that this thing really works and it is worth the risk, whatever risk may be attached to it. So that's the issue. And then again, no vaccine is 100% effective. For example, the tuberculosis vaccine is only about 70% to 80% effective. And it works the best only in children. So there are so many conditions attached to it. So it works the best only in children. So which means that particular vaccine doesn't work effectively in adults. So you see, there's already a vaccine for that, but there's no assurance that that vaccine is good enough for the purpose for which it was developed. That's the problem. So even if you get a vaccine now for COVID-19, there's no assurance it's going to be good enough for the purpose for which we want it. And then you go over to the next, which is a very big problem, and that means vaccines cost a lot of money. That's it, because research costs a lot of money. You have a lot of scientists involved in the research. You have a lot of doctors, a lot of people involved, so many things attached. So you are going to need a whole lot of money to be able to carry out the development of such a vaccine. And after the development of vaccines, the cost of developing it is going to factor in when it comes to the cost, the actual cost of administering the vaccine to the people who need it. So it means the vaccines are going to be relatively costly. So that's the issue. So before a vaccine can get cheap enough, it means there have to be a lot of market for it. So much market for it. Yes, in this case, there's going to be a lot of market because so many people are trying to rescue themselves from COVID-19, but the problem still relies on the fact that if the thing is costly enough, if it's too costly, there will be only very few that will be made. That's number one, which means it's not going to be enough for the number of people who are going to require it, and then there's not going to be enough that will be available to everybody. So that's another thing. Hopefully, the number of people who depend on it or are going to be wishing to get it will be able to drive down the cost, hopefully, but cost still really matters in this thing. So again, those are the problems we have with the issue of vaccines at this moment. So for anybody out there that is depending completely on vaccines, yeah, there may never be a vaccine. Again, this is coming from the World Health Organization. And also, for the last thing that we should put in mind is that the reason why we go for vaccines is so that we can achieve herd immunity. Herd immunity means that you want at least 60 to 70% of the population to be immunized against that disease so that it does not have the ability to spread among the population. So you don't really need to have 100% of the people vaccinated. You just need a high enough number of people to be vaccinated so that this thing doesn't keep spreading. So that's it, which means you need a whole lot of people to be vaccinated. Anyway, that will be all for now. See you guys in the next video, but make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help the channel to grow. Bye.